This artificial sweetener got me thinking, are there artificial versions of the stimulants of these other 4 taste senses that we have on our tongues? Well, when you taste something sour, you're actually just tasting protons. Protons are entering your gustatory cells when there is something acidic in your mouth. And how do you fake a proton? So I don't think there's such a thing as artificial sour. Salt is different. When you're tasting salt, it's sodium ions that are entering your cells, but actually they'll let in potassium ions too. So if you put potassium chloride in your mouth instead of sodium chloride, table salt, it should still taste salty. If you buy low sodium salt from a shop, you'll see from the ingredients that the sodium chloride has been replaced with potassium chloride. So potassium chloride is a kind of artificial salt. What about artificial savoriness or artificial umami? Well, your umami taste is your protein detecting mechanism. But it turns out you can actually use the mechanism against itself. You're not detecting protein molecules directly, you're detecting glutamate molecules that tend to be present in foods that have proteins in them. So that means you can use the glutamate molecule to trick yourself into thinking you're getting protein. Like if I order a vegetable chow mein from my local Chinese takeout, they'll likely put a lot of monosodium glutamate in it, and it will taste very savory to me, as if I'm getting lots of protein in my meal when I'm definitely not. Bitter taste is your poison detecting mechanism. So any molecule that tastes bitter but isn't poisonous is, by this definition, an artificial bitterer. And scientists have certainly found a number of those. Denatonium, for example, found in products like Bitrex. In this form, you put it on your nails like nail varnish, and it stops you from biting your fingernails because it's so gross. It's also added to things like windshield wiper fluid, which bizarrely tastes sweet. So it's a good idea to add something that tastes gross to stop kids drinking it. There are even bitter molecules in plants that aren't poisonous to humans. For example, in broccoli and Brussels sprouts and green tea. In fact, a lot of these bitter compounds are actually good for us, and we can override that repulsion instinct from the bitter taste in those particular foods. Plants are coming up with new ways to protect themselves all the time using chemicals. So there's quite a bit of evolutionary pressure on the genes that code for poison detecting receptors. Because of this constant change, you actually find that different people have different bitterness receptors. For example, you can buy tester strips that have a chemical on them called PTC. If you do taste bitterness on these tester strips, then you're what's called a super taster. You have an additional bitterness receptor that other people don't have. Some scientists think there's a link between whether you're a super taster and whether you're going to enjoy the taste of Brussels sprouts and broccoli. If you're not a super taster, you're more likely to be able to tolerate those foods.